Welcome to the best kept secret among Army professionals, the Association of the United States Army, where it's our mission to support you at every point in your career, the support you deserve. A place America's total Army trusts for leadership skills, education, and community. A place where you can build your future and share your voice. A place that hears you. You've checked all the blocks so far. How many more can you check with AUSA in your squad? Advance your future. Join AUSA today.
The Association of the United States Army is pleased to welcome you to AUSA's new report webinar series. This webinar series features presentations by senior Army leaders responsible for key programs and initiatives. It also features contemporary military authors who weave together the past, present, and future story of the United States Army. Kicking off today's webinar is the Director of AUSA's Education and Programs Department, Nzinga Curry. Good afternoon and welcome to the Association of the United States Army's Noon Report. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We appreciate your support as partners in the defense of our nation. Joining us today is Major General Johnny Davis, Commanding General of USAREC in Fort Knox. In an ever-changing recruiting environment, military recruiters must continuously adapt to ensure that their message reaches and resonates with America's youth, inspiring them to serve. In one of the most difficult periods of recruiting since the establishment of the all-volunteer force, Major General Davis addresses how he is leveraging the Army's greatest asset, its people. Through talent management, initiative development, and research on today's youth, Major General Davis works to provide recruiters with all the resources they need to succeed. Please take advantage of having Major General Davis here to ask questions. You can use the Q&A tab on the right side of your screen to submit a question. After the discussion, we will take as many questions as possible. You can find the full bio for Major General Davis and our moderator, Mr. Williams, in the Handouts tab. As stated, the moderator for today's discussion is Mr. Marshall Williams. Mr. Williams is the chairman and CEO of Four Forces Executive Group, an executive coaching and consulting firm. He has over 42 years of experience in the human capital domain with a wide variety of companies and organizations, including the U.S. military. He previously served as the Acting Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs, was the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower Reserve Affairs, and was a member of the Senior Executive Service. He also served as the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the 19th and 20th Secretaries of Defense. Mr. Williams has a Bachelor's of Science in Management, a Master's of Science in Management, and a Master's of Science in Human Resource Management, all from National Louis University. He received his executive leadership coaching training from Georgetown University. Mr. Williams, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. Major General Johnny Davis appointed Commanding General USAREC in Fort Knox in October 2022. A native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he graduated from the New Mexico Military Institute in 1989 and received his commission through the ROTC Early Commissioning Program. He has deployed to Kuwait in Operation Southern Watch, Sinai, Egypt, Haiti, Iraq in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation New Dawn, and Afghanistan in Operation Enduring Freedom. He has a BA in Business Administration from Cardinal Stritch University, an MS in Administration and Leadership Development from Central Michigan University, and an MS from National Defense University and National Security and Strategic Studies. General Davis, welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good afternoon now, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess it is afternoon now. So look, maybe you hadn't heard, but there's a lot of talk out there about Army recruiting right now. I have a number of questions for you, but before we start, I'd like to find out a few things. First, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are your sergeants major doing?
Yeah.
And how are your recruiters doing?
Well, sir, thanks for inviting me, and it's great to be here. And thanks, that's a great question and very important. given the current environment. So I'm doing great. I mean, it's been 6 months in the job, and I would tell you, sir, I am loving every day. I love the people. I love the command. I love the challenge. There's so much, but in terms of what we see ahead is we see opportunity. We see opportunity to learn from a lot of these things and get after it. The recruiter, that force is so wonderful. They're exceptional. They're driven. They're all over, the world. Yes. I mean, sir, in every state, every zip code, there's a United States Army recruiter really aligned with it, and they're doing well as best can be given the current environment. But no, thanks for asking that.
No, the pleasure's mine. I want to start with the end. What can we all do? What can we all do to help you?
Sir, that's a great question. And first of all, I like everyone to help out in terms of sharing the endless possibilities of service to their nation. Yeah. That's so very important. It's serving in whatever service you decide. I always prefer the United States Army, but I do have my own children have served in other services. But I see that as really service as a life accelerator towards the goals that you want to achieve in life. And Army service will absolutely get you there. I'm a kid from inner city Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Grew up on the north side off of 15th and Capitol. Cool. And here I am loving the service to our nation and representing our nation to this day.
I can relate to that. I'm from the inner city of Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Not
too far from here, and I can't imagine that I'm here right now.
Right, sir.
Let's start, let me get to some of the questions here. Yeah. First question. The Government Accountability Office, GAO, recently indicated that recruiting and retention is one of the critical challenges to national security. What are the challenges you're currently seeing related to the Army's recruiting mission?
Yeah, thanks, sir. And I will tell you, many of the issues and challenges that I will share, first of all, is feedback from my recruiting force. So I submitted a survey before I assumed command, and I wanted to know the same questions you asked with my recruiters. So I got 44,000 responses. And that's what's driving me today. But one of the biggest areas that my recruiters shared with me is this general still lack of awareness and knowledge. And one of the recruiters put it very well, hey, we just had 2 years of 2+ years of school closures without recruiters. So there was, in that safe environment of a school, having the ability to speak with the recruiter was just not there. So there's an awareness and knowledge gap that we have to fill, and we're trying to do that right now. So I went to an event early on in command. It was a well-attended event with our nation's youth in Indianapolis, and again, I had the same questions. What are your thoughts about the Army? Any questions that you may have, and these were simple questions that you and I would assume are not. Well, I'll just give it to you. One young adult asked me, "Hey, I heard that if I don't complete basic training in AIT, my pay is withheld for 6 months." I don't know where that came from. Or I cannot own a car during my service. I mean, I think many of us have multiple cars, but there's an awareness issue, and I think getting the recruiters back into schools is a big deal. And to do that, we have to leverage all of the great assets we have in terms of the Secretary of the Army, the Chief of Staff of the Army, all the Army leadership to help us open those doors. Our civilian aides to the Secretary of the Army, our Army Reserve ambassadors, you don't understand how important they are in their communities to help. Remember, when you think of a recruiter, think of a 24, 25-year-old sergeant, and this is their second duty station. So that has been one thing that I would tell you, that as we face the challenges, we are starting to see this positive momentum. This didn't happen overnight, and it won't be fixed overnight. And the Secretary of the Army is very clear, but we're going to shoot for the stars in terms of where we can take the force in terms of recruiting.
Absolutely. And can I say, you are the right person at the right time for the job. So thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
The next question. Less than 1/4 of youth adults today can meet the medical, physical, or academic challenges required to enter military service. As such, the Army has created the Future Soldier Preparatory Course at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Please explain to our viewers the purpose of this course.
Yes. So the Future Soldier Prep course, it's maybe 8 or 9 months old, and really this is a huge undertaking by Training and Doctrine Command and our headquarters staff, and really approved by the Secretary of the Army. And that was a big decision. But let me tell you where that decision has led us today. It is transformational, positive change in terms of our youth. So, in a nutshell, we have let's say youth who want to pursue a career, and they take the ASVAB or the test to join the Army, and they score at a certain range. And if the range is below where we think meets the fully qualified, then what we have done is there's that potential number of, I think, superstar youth that we can invest in and see if they just had a bad test taking day.
Right.
It could be the environment. It could be a lot of different things. And so we focus both on academic and physical in terms of where they're at in their qualification. So we bring these young adults we contract them, and we bring them into an environment where it is structured. It is run by professionals at Fort Jackson, and what we've seen is a huge increase in terms of in a couple weeks. I just visited 2 weeks ago. In just 2 weeks, you'll start to see a change because from an academic perspective, what we'll do is we'll invest in them with a third party. This isn't an Army drill sergeant.
We're not looking at ourselves.
No, this is not us, let's say training the test. This is a third party that invests in them in terms of education, multiplication, sentence structure, building paragraphs. It's that type of instructions that we will give our own soldiers when they want to raise their GT scores. And so what we've seen is this increase across the board of an average between 18 and 20 points. Some have even increased their scores to 40 points, which really,
that's just amazing.
It's transformational. It is, and right now we're over a 97% success rate, both in academic and physical. From the physical, let's say in terms of your where you are weight-wise, and if it's a little bit, in terms of percent, 2-4% higher than what is needed to enter the service, again, we will invest in you. We'll bring you into our, the physical course at Fort Jackson, and again, I just was there 2 weeks ago, and to see them just doing just regular PT with their friends, and the feedback from the instructors are within 2 to 3 weeks you start to see this decrease in the losing weight, body fat. I mean, at 1 or 2%, it's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
97% plus success rate, almost 5,000, soon to be 5,000 that we've matriculated and brought through the course and have moved on. Some of them have gone on to basic training and AIT. Remember, quality over quantity.
Always.
So they do not move on until they meet the qualifications. But what we're seeing is they enter basic training and they assume they are, because of their time, they really take on leadership roles. And what they're doing is investing.
They've been doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been doing it, so yeah.
And now they're leading this next group. And that, when you look at them, they're going to lead us into the future.
You would say this is already a success.
Sir, visit, and it will open your eyes.
I'll make sure I do that. 2
weeks ago, it was a wonderful time. We had a little I wouldn't say a round table, but we had the opportunity to speak to about 10 or 15 of them. And the questions we posed a lot of questions to them. Hey, do you think this is, positive? Everyone, yes.
Wow.
Do you think the instruction and the friendship, the camaraderie, and everyone, I mean, to the person, they were all in.
I guess I'm only amazed because of what we hear.
Right.
Right. The audio is not matching the video, is what you're telling me.
You have to visit. And again, this is a motivated, they just had a bad day. It could have been, maybe in school they didn't pursue more physical training and all that. But now at this point, we're seeing when you place them in an environment where we invest in them with instruction and proper diet and proper sleep, all of the holistic health type of attributes, you see this growth. And they're no different than us.
No.
They're going to go on and do great, and they're going to lead our nation.
But for many, it's probably the first time they've had someone who's taking care of them in that fashion.
Yes, sir.
And that's what the United States Army can do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll open up more than those, than just that one.
Right.
The next question. This is the 50th anniversary of the all-volunteer force created in 1973. During this anniversary, the propensity to join the military is the lowest in the history of the all-volunteer force, at 9%. What steps do we need to take now to turn that trend?
Yes, sir. So I think there's two answers to that. So I'll take it from an organizational perspective and then what we're doing also as an Army. So as U.S. Army Recruiting Command, 14 to 15,000 soldiers and civilians, they're out there leading our nation in terms of accessions and investing in the future soldiers. So organizationally, if you would see the things that we're doing today compared to the things we did a year ago, they're not the same.
Okay.
We've changed a lot of different things on how we approach training. So example, for our Army Recruiting College, I've added an entire 2 weeks, one focused on the future recruiter and their family. Okay. We call that People Week.
Okay.
We want them to be allowed to be part of the assignment process of where they go.
Yeah.
We want the families to be involved in terms of the government lease housing program. Because remember, think about it. This family is departing a post with commissary, PX, military treatment facility, gyms, schools, military schools, all of that. And then what we do is we ask them to step away. We'll train them at Army Recruiting College, and then we'll post them in beautiful city like Alton, Wisconsin, to serve as a U.S. Army recruiter. They may have never served in Wisconsin, and there's no post there.
Right. They're
living on Elm Street, right down from the recruiting station. So we want to be involved to help them transition. Because I was there as a young family, moving from, Fort, Benning after almost a year of training to Fort Stewart, Georgia. So I understand the complexities, anxieties about a move. So that has been totally transformational in terms of what we're doing for and investing in our families.
That's huge. It's again, it's caring for the most deserving folks, right? Our people.
31, 2 classes ago, 31 out of 32 got their first choice.
Wow.
So you want them to depart the recruiting college and land wherever they are.
Absolutely.
And just, hey, I want it to be here.
They're going to be more successful.
That's right.
The family is going to be more satisfied.
Yes. And the family's brought into the process. So the sponsorship, how we invest in them and train, this has never been done before. We also added some additional sales classes. We've also changed the way we've invested in our leaders at Echelon. So I brought in every master trainer across the command, 150 of them across the Army, and we retrained them. Right now, sir, we are in week 8. So every week for 10 weeks, I'm bringing in 130 to 150 station commanders from around the world. And we're going to give them a week of really training, giving them an idea of what we're doing in terms of our investment in the force and bring them up to date of what's going on.
Absolutely.
We are over 1,300 trained. It has been, to the person, and I'll talk with another group tonight. They said this has been hugely successful and something they needed to witness and be a part of.
I want to see this myself for sure.
Sir, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, the right person for the right job at the right time. It's that important. The next question. The Army recently launched the Be All You Can Be campaign, bringing back the old slogan. Understanding that the Army Enterprise Marketing Office is responsible for the Army's national marketing, can you discuss your thoughts on the new campaign and how it may impact your recruiting mission?
Yeah, I would tell you, and my hat is off to the Army Marketing Office and Alex Fink.
Yeah.
This has been a great undertaking for them over the last couple years. This didn't happen, of course, 6 months ago. This takes time, especially when you, again, want to reintroduce America to its Army.
Yeah.
Now, I came in under Be All You Can Be, and that is such a powerful, it was part of our culture in terms of when you think of the armed forces, Be All You Can Be. And the feedback that General Fink's team, when they went out to the public to look at all the different options in terms of rebranding, Be All You Can Be was hands down the winner. And so how we introduce, again, America to its Army in such a successful campaign already, I think it's helpful for us. It connects quickly with generation, not just the young generation, but with my generation, and that generation that invested in me. So this is a huge undertaking. It's recent. I mean, I think from March Madness is when we really started to see it. But we think this will be helpful for us as it continues to mature, as we continue to share our Army stories for the next 15 to 20 years.
Alex Finks and his team out there in Chicago are just fantastic in what they do. There's no question. I was just there a couple weeks ago to take a different brief, but I had the opportunity to, visit their headquarters. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Next question. The Army continues to create new incentives for enlistment. Can you share enlistment incentives the Army is currently offering?
Yes, sir. There is so much to offer. I mean, those in terms of the military occupational skills, if whatever your heart is set on, I bet you the Army has an MOS ready for you. No other service can come close to what we do in terms of the land force.
Right.
But in terms of some incentives, up to 50,000 in bonus, up to 65,000 in student loan repayment. When you look at our recruits that come in, about right now, 20 many of them are high school graduates, or right out of high school. 95% plus are high school graduates, but about 20% have some college or college degrees. So that has been very helpful for them. We see a lot of requests for student loan repayment given the current environment, and that's very good. But I think one that's really taken off is really the station of choice.
Okay.
So
What's about that one?
Yeah. So if I'm a future applicant and I grew up in, let's say, Georgia, I'm very familiar with the East Coast. Hey, I like to look at I want to go into the mountains. So let's look at Fort Carson, Colorado. Well, you know what? We're going to, if that's a duty location that you're interested in, we want to get you there. And it's because you now have a say. Now, of course, it's always whatever the needs of the force are, but anytime we can, allow and help a future applicant get what they want, who wouldn't want that? And so this has been great.
You know, one of the things I'm hearing is the collaboration between military entities. For instance, excuse me, the G1, Lieutenant General Stitt, is all for this. I know I've known him for a while, and I'm sure he's all for that. And give me an idea of how you get the opportunity to meet with and get your opinions to someone like a Lieutenant General Stitt, the G1.
Well, given the current environment, I would tell you, sir, first of all, I have direct access to, Army senior leaders. Whether it's I brief every 2 weeks either the Secretary of the Army, the Chief of Staff of the Army, the Undersecretary of the Army, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, all of the Army staff. They're included as part of my updates, and that's what is very helpful when I go through TRADOC, Training and Doctrine Command, and General Brito. And because he was a former G1, he has certainly opened up doors for us in terms of policy. And I would tell you, we just got a wonderful team that has opened up all the different doors in terms of to help us get after our goals and recruiting. We all have a singular goal in mind: get to, the mission. And I'll tell you, General Gervais, General Brito, I mean, we are blessed with some wonderful teammates to help us connect with the entire Army staff, the Director of Army Staff. Everyone has, sir, I will tell you, I mean, we can jump on the phone right outside the door here. I'm sure we'll get some senior leader and we'll be able to, oppose it, or have a request.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I want the audience to understand, of the access that you have to senior leaders. It is not in a vacuum that you're doing any of these things.
No. It's collaborative. It's we synchronize, we share ideas across the entire board. We want to make sure that we all, in the end, we all have to speak with one voice.
Right.
That differences, even wherever they may be, certainly is not helpful if we're off. I want to ensure that where I'm going is in line with the Secretary of the Army's vision and the Chief of Staff of the Army. And that's the left and right limits. And then the headquarters DA staff and General Brito, they all help me stay and get to where we want to go.
Army strong. We've been saying that we are in a competition for top talent for years now. You know this. Do you think there is anything that Congress can do to assist?
Yeah, so I have the opportunity. Well, first of all, I'll tell you, sir, the Secretary of the Army and the Chief of Staff of the Army, they take whatever things they, feedback, not only from me, but from my force, and they go back and carry that message. So we are over communicating with, I think, leadership outside the Army. I provide the updates to our Army leaders, sometimes monthly or quarterly. I travel with, the Army G1, the marketing office, and our Army recruiting task force. And guess what? We'll have a sit down with the professional staff members, and we'll give them an update. So I think there's an importance, given the current environment, to really over communicate and keep everyone at every echelon informed. But that's a great question.
Yes, thank you for that. Let's ask a question on incentives now. Which incentives have worked best for recruiting over the past few years?
Yeah, so the two big ones, what we call a quick ship. So if you contract and we have a training seat available, let's say next month, we'll give you a bonus. You may, you may want to plan to part for basic training in the fall, but we actually have a seat for you right now, and we'll actually provide you a bonus for that, up to $40,000. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
So of course it's got a lot of attention among our youth. And then the duty station of choice. Those two, are our top two.
I love it. I see why.
Yes, sir.
It would be mine if I could do it all over again. If I could do it all over again. All right. How does the partnership for your success program work?
So when a soldier enlists in the Army as part of their contract, they can sign up for the Partnership for Your Success, or you hear it as the PAYS program. What is that? What that is you can lean forward. Let's say, hey, I'm going to serve 4 years or 5 years, but after that, I would like an opportunity to apply to the following companies. And as part of your contract, not only are we going to align you with the company that are part of the PAYS program, like Boeing, Coca-Cola, eBay, JB Hunt, you name it. You add that, and once you transition and rejoin the civilian workforce, you're guaranteed a job interview at that company.
Wow.
Yes. So
think about some big companies.
These are big companies. Mentioned. That's right. Yes, sir. So think about there's already that anxiety when anybody wants to transition, especially from the service to civilian life, and just think of having that opportunity, knowing that it's not going to be an application that sits on top of a desk among thousands. You're guaranteed.
I get an interview.
Our job interview.
That's all I can ask for. Is an interview. Get in front of somebody.
Yep. Have a shot. Wow.
It's a fantastic program.
Yes, sir.
Research has shown that the U.S. military is becoming successful. Research has shown that the U.S. military is becoming more and more of a family business, with many recruits following in their relatives' footsteps, certainly in mine. What are your thoughts on this?
Sir, that, I didn't really understand how big a deal this was, but right now it's about 75% of service members have a relative who has served. So when I look at my particular family situation, of course, my grandfather was a World War II vet, but in my family, my oldest daughter, West Point graduate, field artillery officer. My second daughter joined the Marines. I got another daughter in JROTC, so I can understand that question. But I think you have that because that population is more informed, because the influencer, such as my grandfather, was able to share his Army story with me. So I thought, hey, that's doable. And so what we need to do is we can't rely on just families with those who serve. We have to expand this further. And that's why I ask everyone's help. Everyone, please get a chance, be the influencer, share the importance of service to this wonderful nation, service to this country. It will be a life accelerator and change all for the better.
Undoubtedly. Our retirees, we're speaking to you. We need your help.
Right. And veterans, we know that the veteran population is shrinking. So when I think about a veteran population, I think of an entire population of mentors, teachers, of those that have run the gauntlet of, when life happens. They're there to catch you and share, especially in terms of military service, and they can help show the way.
And there's a lot of success there as well, right?
Oh, there's so much success.
So a young person gets to see the success from joining the United States Army. Wow.
I share this with so many. Service opens up so many doors. You tell me an employer out there that does not want to invest in, a soldier who has put in 5-6 years and whatever specialty,
There's none.
Sir, I know.
There's none. There's none. I was so amazed when I left the military, when I retired, and the opportunities that I had.
Yes, sir.
Simply because I served in the United States Army.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Whether it's returning to school, in terms of the school of your choice.
Right.
Of course, you got the GI Bill benefits. Sir, you can't beat the opportunities and investments that we as a nation are putting in you. and it's life-changing.
And honestly, coming from the inner cities of Washington, D.C., I don't know who would have invested like that in a 17-year-old me back then. I don't know who would have done that.
Yeah, and sir, that's and I think I think our youth today are going through the same, decision process that we went through. We're not different.
No,
it's just,
not at all.
Yeah, sir.
Not at
We're
all.
all thinking the same thing. Okay, what am I going to do? I go to college or not go to college? Do I get a job now? Do I look at other opportunities? Do I take a gap year? Do I not? So they're all thinking through the same, and having that, veteran, that fellow or friend who's in the service share the possibilities. That's great.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge. Got a question from Scott J. Says, why don't you reach out to retired soldiers who had a successful career in the Army and also served successfully as a recruiter to work with recruiting and help local recruiting?
Well, thanks. That's a great question because, I want to connect. So one of the ways I tried to connect, I think in my first month, is that was one of my top 3 things. How do I connect with the veteran population, sir? And I need to do better. I did submit an article in the Army Echoes, which is the retired magazine. But I am, as I talk with my team, how do I connect with more veterans? Because their story, their military story is so powerful to our youth. And I wanted to just share that with each and every one of them compared to what I see and what my recruiters see on the ground. But can we do better? Absolutely. Going through veteran services organizations, VFW, I spoke of that, you name it, I will get there and share, my ask for everyone to help us in terms of get out there.
Great. And Scott J., I ask that you write us, give us an opportunity to get in contact with you. Stephen B. says, what do you think that DoD can do to increase propensity to serve or assist with increasing eligibility to join, such as increasing JROTC programs, adjusting qualification standards, etc.?
Yeah, so there's a lot. Well, first of all, I know Alex Fink and team is doing a lot from the marketing to connect with from the strategic level with America. But I would tell you, and the secretaries is looking at whether the Army invests in the future of expanding joint Reserve Officer Training Course, or JROTC. Yeah. That is on the plate. I know Andy Manera at U.S. Army Cadet Command is doing a phenomenal job. And I see it as often whenever I visit JRTC programs, especially the robotics. It is the best citizenship program in the United States Army.
Bar none.
Civics is the #1. And then, of course, the STEM related robotics. It's such a wonderful program. My daughter's in it. I love it because she can't wait to throw on her ASUs, and she likes, she wants me to inspect her, and she's always walking around with her military knowledge, questions, or the state capitals and their leadership. Yeah. I thought, wow, that's a lot to memorize. So that's something that the Army's looking at right now. To get after what you are just absolutely talking about, is how do we expand this awareness across the population? But
the Army is open to it, and that's what's fantastic.
Yeah. We're listening.
We're listening. We're listening. David M. says, given the high rate of enlistment from families and military experience, how can the Army increase the knowledge of the Army by the general public?
Yeah, as I said earlier, 75%. So we don't want this to be a military, family business. We want it to be a national America business as we invest in our 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 armed forces, particularly the Army. So we're doing as much as we can, and just listening to this, I would ask each and every one of you to help spread that message. I love it because I try to connect. I just ran into a future prospect maybe a couple weeks ago. No affiliation with the United States military, but we kicked it off in the parking lot and started to talk about the service. So I would ask everyone to help us spread the power of service to nation, not outside of those military families.
Yeah.
Go to the high schools and share your story. We can connect you with a recruiter. We can get you in a high school to talk to a class to share your story. We have a veteran that's in Louisiana, retired. I served with him in Afghanistan, but he reached out to me, wanted to connect with our recruiters, and now he's part of the recruiters high school blitz program.
I love it.
And then he sends me photos. He really gets into it. He marches in like a soldier, but he's been retired almost 10 years.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is not that difficult. I was
not.
on a recent flight where a young man was talking to me. He had just graduated, or will be graduating in May this month, as an engineer from Georgia Tech University. And we began to talk to one another about what we've done and what we plan to do. And I sent a recruiter his way, okay? Because all I said was, you can do all of those things. You want to play with AI? You can do with all of those things in the United States Army. And I got him the right recruiter. And so now he's going through the process now of becoming an officer. But it's not that hard. All we're doing is telling our stories, and we all have those.
It's exactly it. It's tell your story, share. Like I said, there's so many opportunities, whether it's enlisting, serving as a warrant officer or as a commissioned officer. There are so many opportunities. Sometimes I think in terms of awareness, many don't figure it out until later on. We get a number of requests of those who are in their late 30s or 40s who want to join because they've joined the workforce and they saw a yearning for a higher service to country, and so they pursue. So we see a number of older applicants who've been out in the workforce for 10, 15 years. Well, we just had one that's 25 years.
Really? Wow.
Passed, yes.
Wow.
They're in their 50s.
It's interesting because I have a young man that I'm going to talk to later today who's been in the workforce for about 7 years and wants to join. He thinks he may want to join the United States Army, so I'm looking forward to.
Well, we're hiring.
I'm looking forward. I told him I'm coming to see you, and we're hiring. Richard G says, as veterans, how can we help recruiters in our community? That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and I would tell you, sir, please visit your nearest recruiting station. You can go, of course, to goarmy.com and look up. We have, we have an app that you can download. But bottom line, visit the recruiters and first of all, check on them and offer your assistance. Yeah. I have 1,700 recruiting stations. They could have as few as 3 recruiters all the way up to 20 recruiters, depending on the city and town. Visit them, talk with them, ask how you can help them.
Yeah,
they're wonderful. Recruiters will, like I said, there's many that will link up with some of our veterans, and they'll go as an entire little team and talk about service from a veteran perspective, active duty, and then.
It's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would love to see more towns just kind of adopt the local recruiters in their town. Maybe there's an opportunity there somewhere too.
Yeah, it is. That's a good point.
What are you doing to modernize selection of future recruiters and incentivize recruiting duty?
So that's another great question in terms of our talent management. So right now we're so before we would we would have criteria for soldiers who want to serve as recruiters.
Okay.
You have a GT score of this, a certain, physical fitness, and but bottom line, what we want to do is we want to find out if it is the right recruiter. So we're doing a recruiter assessment program to find out if we can determine what the right attributes are of a recruiter. So that we just finished the first pilot a few weeks ago, and now we're looking at a second group of career field recruiter professionals to determine what can we, out of this group of leaders, can we just say, hey, this person would be actually a better recruiter instead of a drill sergeant. So this is the time we really.
Yes, I've never heard that. This is great.
Yeah, so this is it's going on right now. I don't know the insights yet, but the team is looking at that, because there could be whether it's a simplified test as part of the recruiting process, that based off of that, the outcomes of that, you could have
we get the best person for the right job at the right time.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're looking for.
Right. A person that's not so much an introvert but an extrovert. A person that is confident. Person that think of all the attributes of strong leaders that are like magnets to others. That's what we're trying to look for.
I love it. It looks like we are out of time now, and thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I really truly believe you're the right person for the right job at the right time. Ms. Curry, back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Gentlemen, this was actually a really good discussion. I'm like, where do I sign up? Although I'm a little too old, but I'm an Army brat. And I just want to say there are benefits for the soldier as well as their children. So great, great discussion. Well, before we part, I want to inform our viewers of a few upcoming events. We have an event coming up called Honoring Army Civilians with Dr. Angus Schaefer. It will be held on 4 May at AUSA's headquarters. On 7 May, AUSA will host Operation Deploy Your Dress at AUSA's headquarters as well. Then we will head over to Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii for the AUSA Land Pack Symposium that will take place on 16 through 18 May, as well as preparing for our Building the Army of 2030, Maturing the Cyber Domain Hot Topic that will be held on 14 June, Army's birthday, here at AUSA. The last one event I want to share is the AUSA Warfire Summit and Exposition, which will be held on the 26th through 27th of July in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I hope you can join us for an upcoming webinar or event. Check out AUSA's website for more information or to register at ausa.org. Finally, I definitely want to take a moment to thank all who support AUSA with their membership. Membership does matter. You help us support the Army. Thank you again for attending, and have a wonderful yet productive day.